I'm gonna say good morning to you all, Laker fans. It's now midnight on the East Coast now, and I know they've already they're probably fast asleep or chilling or resting or whatever the case is. But our Lakers won. They won. That's right. They went to Houston, to Arizona, and they went in Phoenix and they beat the Phoenix Suns today, 121 to 115. It was a gritty game, just like I said. The one concern that I was worried about was the Anthony Davis, but as you know, the Davis he played remarkable today. He led all scores. Uh, Everybody contributed. They did play the inside outside game. They did play a post game presence. Phoenix played a lot of good defense. They were forced to, but they were a lot of their block shots were blocked. Of course, you know how LeBron James he does his thing. He did his thing breaking down their defense, and of course, we don't want to. This was all on the day that, of course, Rondo did his debut today. A lot of good shooting. Phoenix did a lot of good shooting. It was a kind of high scoring game. Very close game throughout the game. A gritty kind of grind out game. That saw the Lakers more or less take control of it in the second half. But for the most part, Kuzma he shot pretty good today. Um, as opposed to last game, he didn't have a very good shooting game. But one thing I find remarkable in watching this game today is that, like I said, Anthony Davis, he looked good as far as his ability to be able to, of course, slam, and also McGee. McGee played great too. McGee played very good. Rondo looked pretty good. And I like the kind of a couple of the alley oops that he threw up to some of. So the team looked good right now, 8-2, and like I said, the overall it was a more of a up and down kind of game as we suspected, but the Lakers kind of more or less imposed their will on Phoenix. It was the Lakers was just too much for Phoenix. Um, even though they were in Phoenix, you could noticeably see that even though the game was more or less for the most part, Phoenix was leading the game at periods of the game, but they for the most part they were more or less an up and down game. I was impressed, like I said, with our shooting, our ability to we were they seemed it more more rested, I would say. They were all over the boards and they stayed with Phoenix, and they more or less didn't change up the game. I would like to see more of a, like I say, a post presence. And I do realize that they're trying to get a lot of these guards involved with the game, with their shooting, but our shooting is kind of okay. Like I said, once again, and I can see that the probably the reason why they're doing that is try to kind of get everybody, um, kind of in a contribution type of setting where they can, more or less using these games more or less to kind of see where we can get a hot hand throughout and also to form some chemistry. But like I said, the Lakers pretty much the first quarter, I would say the Suns kind of pretty much had the first quarter, but then as the second quarter kind of progressed on, you could begin to see the wear and tear from the Lakers on their big lineup. But it was a close game all the way really through. But I was once again, I like I say, I was very impressed with Anthony Davis. And I know he, like I said, was in a lot of pain, and a lot of times throughout the game, he seemingly um, was just, I mean, he was just bouncy to me. He was able to just do spin moves. He was slamming. He was getting. He would take the off ball types of passes and just take it to the hole and slam it. He would dribble, penetrate, guarded by two people. He would they just couldn't. They just didn't have an answer for Anthony Davis. And of course Dwight Howard. He could contribute as always. Remarkable job, Dwight Howard. To me, I feel like we have like two um, centers in the game, and especially when you have Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis in the game, and then you have, I mean, it's just I don't kind of see how you can stop really the Lakers front line being so big. Having such large forwards like LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and then you add a McGee in there, and then and then you add like I said, the lineup. We have a very good lineup, and once again, defense was what kind of even though it was a tight game, defense is what kind of kept us more or less in the game throughout the second half. And I noticed that the Lakers play a lot of man-to-man coverage, but then again, I noticed also that one thing I like about that played this game is like, for instance, Anthony Davis and McGee, doing like the give and go passes, and also LeBron James and Anthony. I can tell that there's some chemistry coming between them, the team as they continue to go through these various games. I can feel the energy and how they're beginning to gel more together, and they're more of a defensive. I would say they probably had and about 10 block shots amongst all of them. And there is some, but the only thing that kind of gets me is the fact that they allow a lot of 3-point shots from teams. So if a team can really if you can put up those threes and hit those threes, the Lakers will allow you to shoot those threes, which I kind of don't like, because the fact that that causes a problem, and we struggle to match that type of scoring intensity, especially from the outside. Now, I would say that Green did a good job this game. He was able to shoot when he was given the ball and set shots. He would just sit out there at the 3-point line, and if it was a breakdown in the middle, then Green would they would just throw the ball out to Green, and Green would just shoot the ball up. And he seems to be pretty reliable as he's beginning to develop his role. Also, Kuzma played a pretty good inside-outside game, and I can begin to see how he can be a force to be reckoned with, especially when it comes down to some very important minutes. You got to realize that Rondo, this was his first game back, and that Rondo is going to be more of an optimal part in trying to distribute the ball around such a talented team. And I'm telling you that right now at 8-2, the Lakers looking very good. They're looking very good. And I want to say towards the end of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter, the Lakers kind of begin to kind of run away with the game as far as putting their stamp on the game. Although you can say that still the Phoenix Suns is a very good team, shooting team, and so they were able to get some very good shots. And with that being said, this is something that the Lakers going to have to be able to defend against. Is a teams, young shooting teams like Phoenix, that pretty much tries to make sure they claw their way in by good, solid shooting. And so we have to make sure that from now on, especially tomorrow, as they get ready to play the Golden State Warriors, that we go ahead and get that game, get it taken care of, so they can get some rest. Because tonight they were able to do what they're supposed to do, which is get that game against Phoenix. And by getting that game against Phoenix, they're not 8-2. They still remain in first place in the Pacific Division, and more importantly, in the entire Western Conference. Also, they are going into this game against Golden State. That's the divisional game. They win that game, that'll keep them in a good spot. So right now, what we're looking at right now is a team that is poised to continue to do what they need to do. I'm very impressed the fact that Anthony Davis, that even though he played hurt, even though he's I would like to, thank of course, the therapists that are doing a good job with Anthony Davis, and that they need to continue to work on his rehabilitation, so that he cannot Of course, he can continue to contribute as he's doing. I will say the game to me was a little bit too close to within 5 minutes of the game. Houston, in fact, at the 350 mark, Houston had a lead, and then it was the battle between the Lakers and Houston. I say Houston, I mean Phoenix had a lead, and it was a battle between Phoenix and the Lakers towards the end. And we know down the stretch that LeBron James only went 2 for 6 from the 3 point line, and that is the cause of concern. And then we saw the ugly face of shooting rise its head again. Ugly face, and in fact, and thank goodness for a opportunity for give and go with, of course, LeBron James and Anthony Davis nearing the end of the game, because they started that poor shooting again, but then in fact, you had several misses at the end towards the within the last 2 minutes of the game, with the game being 1 point lead. And I can see that this is a pattern and that I would say is a concern, is that we need to make sure that we're able to close out these games. And I know that they're trying to develop Kuzma into a knockdown shooter, but we know that Green is a knockdown shooter, and Kuzma is, I mean, he's okay as far as a knockdown shooter, but I would like to see Kuzma drive into the hole more, create a turnover, or have them to foul him so he can go to the line and maybe win the game from the line. But in saying all that, I know I'm kind of hard on, and that's just how Laker fans, we should be kind of hard on the team. But in saying all that, I'm impressed with them. They won. They did what they're supposed to do, and they won the game, 121 to 15. And so we want them to keep it up, 8-2. They're doing a good job. Like I said, final score, 121 to 102. Los Angeles Lakers. They're doing their thing, and this is, we're proud of them. We want them to keep up the good work, and like I said, I appreciate you all tuning in. And like I said, here on the East Coast, we're just excited about our brethren out there on the West Coast. Lakers, keep doing your thing. We're just proud of you, impressed with you. Just keep it up. Let's As we keep on this road to the championship, let's do it. Like I said, I know the Phoenix Suns. They were a good opponent, and they are a good opponent. They're a good young team, and I just didn't want us to sleep on them, and I felt like they didn't. But I don't like how well our shoot. We got to clean up that shooting towards the end of the game, because that shooting can come back to haunt us, especially in big games against teams like, of course, Boston Celtics, teams like Toronto, the team that we played earlier, and teams like the Clippers, and teams like Houston. I just don't. We something about that shooting. We got to work on our in game shooting. They got to work on that process, because we're cutting it too close. We're kind of close in these games, late in games, and I know that kind of builds character to be close in the games. But we need to make sure that when we get that close in the games, that we're not just relying on jumpers, because when you rely on jumpers, sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't. It's better to just take the ball to the hole, and that's what we got to get those guards into, more of taking it to the hole. And if you're not able to take it to the hole, we need to get better into give and go, basic basketball. All right, so y'all have a great night. Like I said, thank you for tuning in here to your brother here. Just appreciate you. Go Lakers. And like I said, we're gonna keep on pounding on this thing. I know they got a game tomorrow against Golden State. We can't sleep on Golden State. I know they're the last place team in the Western Conference, but we can't play them like they're the last place. We need to play them like they are a formidable foe, and because them the kind of games that can sneak up on you, and you can lose by taking teams for granted. We got to take care of business tomorrow. Golden State Warriors. We got to beat those Warriors, and so we can go 9-2 with a day of rest, getting ready for the Friday night game. All right, so y'all take care, everybody. Go Lakers. Go Lakers.